There we go. We're recording. So Michigan Virtual is very glad to have Dr. Tova Sheldon, who's part of our team, to present to all of our colleagues here at MANS. Molly, thank you for making this possible. And since there's a few of us, I think we should just do some introductions if possible. If you're able to safely, great. Otherwise, just we'll know that you're back there if we don't hear from you. But Dr. Sheldon, if you could introduce yourself, a little background, and then we'll jump into the innovator's journey.
Yes, absolutely, no problem. Just as a real quick check, was everybody and Dr. Patterson, you don't need to respond. I just want to see because you're driving, so eyes on the road. But are you all, the rest of you, able to see the screen that I shared? Just want to make sure I'm sharing the right thing and it's not, some like C background that I have. So, all right, I got the thumbs up from Walt. So yeah, we'll just do a little quick background on me, and I thought it might be a little bit helpful to just kind of see it rather than say it. So these are the things that are important to me, and obviously part of my journey is that I am here at Michigan Virtual, and I love that part of it. I'm also what I would deem as an innovator. I love creating, building, being a change agent, seeing things differently. But you can see the real motivation behind me is that I adore my family and I adore and show up for myself as well because I feel like the most important things are living with kindness, gentle curiosity, and a passion to do good. So that's really kind of my mile high background and how I like to show up. But I really do want to know who else is in the room. And you can just share a little bit about like your name, maybe what encouraged you or piqued your interest about joining today, something that you're learning about, and or any gut feelings you have about innovation. So whatever you're willing to share, that would be really helpful. And if you just, feel comfortable doing just one of those things, that's okay too. So there's no pressure. But do you want to, maybe we could jump to Molly next and then Kathleen and Sarah. If we see you unmute, great. If not, please don't worry about it.
All right, I'll get started. So my name is Molly Call. I'm the Communications and Partnership Manager here at Michigan Association of Non-Public Schools. And so we're very grateful for our excellent partnership with Michigan Virtual and all the wonderful things that they provide our member schools, including this wonderful webinar. So we're so glad to have everyone join us today. Um, and oh, my gut feeling about innovation. Let's see. I I like innovation. So I think I'm gonna go with a four. I'm a four.
You're a four. Great. So, that's really important for us to think about because we all have our own definitions of what innovation is. But in your space, from your vantage point, you're giving yourself a four. Like you like it. Like it's kind of part of you and how you see the world, or you see it aiding the world. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I'd say it's a big part of my of the work I do for MANS is just trying to be
Mm.
innovative in how we support our member schools.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Molly. Appreciate you sharing. All right. Kathleen, if you are in a space to unmute, that would be helpful. If not, that's totally okay. We can have Walt go next or however works best for you.
I will go next, and I would say as an observer, I'm about a four. I really am fascinated learning about innovation, watching the process of innovation. Am I the one to always come up with the idea or do it myself? No, but I'm definitely, I would say, a student of innovation
Hmm.
is where I would place myself.
So interesting, Walt. When you say that, we're going to talk a little bit later more around some of the habits and the actions that innovators do. And so it's interesting that you made a kind of delineation of what is the actual doing of innovation, but the practice that you described of being a student, part of that comes with being a really good observer and doing and making critical connections. And so I would say to that vein, you are an innovator.
That fits.
Yeah. All right. Well, if Kathleen or Dr. Patterson, I'll give you a minute or so to unmute if you can. And again, if you're not in a safe space to do that, that's totally fine. All right. We'll want to keep you in a safe space, and so we'll keep going. But again, like I opened up earlier, if there is any kind of pivot that you are hoping for, or this is not meeting your needs of what you thought you were going to get out of this session, please, I am not offended if you just unmute and ask a question or take us in another direction. We're also such a small group. Like that's really the most important thing. And so I just wanted to put up here what I believe to be true as our goals for today. And you can see those are up there. There's also a QR code that you can access or a shortened URL in the lower right-hand corner that takes you to a resource. It's not taking you to this slide deck, but it takes you to a resource that you can leverage. It's embedding the pieces from this, but it's more of a standalone resource for you that you can use at any time, sharing some of those specific strategies that I was hoping to get to today with you, and then also digging in a little bit more specifically around leadership coaching for innovation. So, looking at those three pieces, we're going to explore and understand innovation a little bit more. We are going to really lift up some examples of innovators and innovation. What are those habits that they lean into? What are their behaviors and where they're at in their journeys? And then I want you to think about your own journey of innovation and what are the things that you might be able to specifically try. And if anything, hopefully at least one of them will hit for you or one component of one of them will hit for you. And you'll be able to walk out of here to do something today that will be impactful for tomorrow. So, any questions, thoughts, alternative perspectives that you might be? Are we on track here? Okay. Thank you, Molly, for nodding your head, making sure I'm in a good spot. I appreciate you. So, all right. So, I know again, it might be a little bit hard to be like an open conversation with the things that are going on. So let's just do the best you can with this space. But what I wanted to do is hold up for you, just from a large lens, a definition that I've come to believe in for innovation. So, across the different research that I've done, I've pulled from multiple places and crafted this definition of innovation. And I'm going to read it out loud. Actually, that's not something I normally do because I don't like reading off a screen to a group. But if we're driving and I know you can't check out the slide deck, I want you to be able to hear it. And so as you listen to this definition of innovation, I want you to listen for what innovation means to you. Maybe you believe in one part of the definition and in not another part. Maybe you have a way to make my definition better that I would love if you shared that with me because I'm always learning with and from others. All right, so I'm going to read through it and then I just like you to think on what is innovation to you and what resonates and what maybe we can see differently together. So here's my definition of innovation: the introduction of something new to generate new ideas, methods, or devices, to combine or assemble what already exists, but in a unique, unexpected, or unintended way to serve a purpose or solve a problem. And the last piece is connecting ideas, resources, tools, or people in ways that no one has thought of before, seeing a bigger picture, creating opportunities, acknowledging and supporting creativity or ambiguity, as well as challenging assumptions or rules for new or different outcomes. I know it's a long definition. I apologize. All right. So from what you just heard, what does innovation mean to you? And if you're able to and you can unmute and share your perspective or maybe how you see yourself in this, uh, that would be great.
I can jump in and just share my quick thoughts here. I think, sometimes when I hear the word innovation, the first thing I think of is like having to come up with something brand new. Um, and so I appreciate the second part of the definition where, it's something that already exists, but we're using it in a new and a unique way to solve a problem. And so I probably do a lot more innovating than I even realize.
I think that's so true, Molly, right? And with that, oftentimes we see the commercial where it's like new and improved. And the reality is you look at it and you're like, is that new? And then it's not. It's just that it's been improved because there's been two other things that have come together in this unique way. Or oftentimes, what I see in education is we see and look at other sectors, we look at other fields, other, types of businesses and experiences, and we think, gosh, it works so well in that space. Could we make it our own and it becomes innovative in our space, right? And Molly, for your particular role and the way you connected and shared about, kind of why you showed up today, that it's part of your job. I also see you showing up in that last paragraph of the definition.
Oh,
So,
yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of everything that we do here at Man. So I
yeah.
agree.
And so as we look at the space, I just want to name a couple of other things. And again, if anybody else wants to unmute and add to that reflection around what is innovation to you, please just jump in and do that. A couple things that I think of as I go through this definition that aren't just explicitly in it. One thing that I believe to be true is that innovation is very context dependent, meaning what's innovative in your space may or may not be innovative in my space. So that's one thing to be thinking about. Another one that I think about often is I'm working on this definition around little I innovation and big I innovation. And both things are true. So, little I innovation are the little things that I've done in my life, as a singleton, right, that have made my life better, right? I've tried something new. So, for example, at our house, we have raised garden beds. I love gardening. And last summer, I was having a water issue, making sure the plants were getting enough water. And so this may date me a little bit, but using the hose and other things around at home, I MacGyvered a very unique water system that ended up working fantastic. So for those of you that maybe don't know who MacGyver is, it's a old TV series that what the person could make anything out of a paperclip and solve all these problems, right? But to me, that little I innovation, it was something that helped me on a problem that I had that I solved in a unique way. And that's a little bit different than what I would name as big I innovation, which is where we're transforming large systems. So some of you may think about things like AI integration and seeing AI as innovation, but how it integrates into our systems, that's a really big change. And so that would be like a big I innovation. And of course, there's things across the field on that. But regardless of if it's big I or little I, it still is making new or different outcomes, whether it's for an individual person or a collective space. And I think that's something important to notice in the definition. And then the last thing I'll say before we jump to the next page is just as we think about innovation, and particularly, Molly, actually, all three of us that were chatting before mentioned that we have kids. I think it's important to remember that innovation has no age boundary. Anyone at any age can innovate. And it's a part of your habits, your practices, your mindsets, and anybody can walk forward in that space, can go on that journey. And so, as we practice innovation ourselves as adults, I think we want to be mindful and intentional around what opportunities, what conversations we are having with youth, and and those who have been where we are those that are our elders, right? Because oftentimes we hear about how innovation has changed their lives and we just take that part for granted, right? So innovation does not have an age to it. So, any other kind of concluding thoughts before we jump forward? Colleen, thank you so much for joining us today. If you are in a space that you are able to come off of mute, we would welcome you introducing yourself. If you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. Oh, good. I'm glad you unmuted.
Oh, sure, absolutely. My name is Colleen Willison. I'm the principal at St. Mary Catholic School in Big Rapids, and I'm a fairly new principal, just a year and a half. So I'm just hopping on to learn some new things.
Fantastic. One of the things we were talking about earlier is what was it about uh, Molly's share, Molly's you know, offering of this webinar that piqued your interest that you said that was worth your time to come?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what the post said. Because I signed up for a couple this week. Was this the one? I just think looking for something to rejuvenate my staff and keep them going,
Hmm.
if I remember correctly, and the timing was right, and I didn't have anything after school, so there was that too.
Awesome. Well, Colleen, we are so glad you're here. Thank you for letting me put you on the spot for a minute. We genuinely appreciate you being here. I'll share, like I shared with others earlier, we're going to walk through Innovator's journey. We're going to talk about what innovation looks like and can be, and give you applicable strategies that you can do today to impact tomorrow. And if any of that is not hitting and you want something else, or you're curious about something else and take us down a different path, we want you to share and make this worth your time. All right. So just want to put that out there.
Thank
Um,
you.
yes. So let's jump to this next piece. What you're seeing on your screen on the right-hand side is called the Innovator's Journey. And originally, a different version of this graphic came out of Henry Ford in Hub's research. And they gathered, through extensive research, they looked back at lots of innovators that we deemed innovators of the past. You think about like the Edisons, and the list is long. And they said, what are the common habits that those innovators had, and what were the common actions? And so I'm going to give you just a minute. You can put in the chat or you can say it out loud. Uh, you can cheat and look on the right hand side of your screen, or you can just say from your own lived experience, what do you think some of those habits and some of those actions might be? I'll give you a clue. Walt already put one in the chat unintentionally when he said, always learning. Or maybe you have a different way of saying some other things in here. Seeing results. Love it. So we think about maybe an action that innovators look for are those results. Like where is it working? Okay. Anything else? What are the
Asking questions.
good? Yeah, Molly, absolutely. Asking questions. And it's interesting, Molly, one of the things you'll notice on the right-hand side is that doesn't just happen in a single place in your journey, it happens all over the place, right? So we don't just ask questions when we're uncovering and generating ideas. We ask it when we're designing and planning. We ask it when we're looking at reflecting and optimizing because we want to know if it's working. So that is one of those universal behaviors, is asking questions. That is always going to be helpful. And you'll see that tied directly to some of the strategies that we talk about, because those questions can be formal or informal. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. So I just want to name for you again, if you look at this innovator's journey, this is not age dependent. This is a choice, and all of these things are very learnable to do. So if we just look at this, there are five bigger, what I would call actions that can happen across a journey. And I don't want you to get the perception that these are phases or that these are linear because journeys are all different. So it's not like you start at one, uncover and generate, and then you move to funnel and focus. Okay, so people can start at different places, and you can also repeat these actions as many times as you think help the situation or help in that context. So I want to put that out there. And then when you look at the actual pieces within that, I'm just naming some of the habits that show up in each of those spaces. I'm not telling you that what's on the graphic is a comprehensive picture. We just couldn't fit them all in there. It's already small font anyways. So, so I just wanted to put out there, right? Perceiving uncertainty and possibility. Like, you're an innovator if you're constantly looking and trying to see things differently, right? So that's up there as one of the habits at the beginning. You can see under design and plan, seeing those unique connections. How do these things maybe fit together? Can I put something that already exists? Can I put it together to be new? So you can see some of those other habits. One other thing I just want to draw your attention to before we move off this journey idea is that at every space, you see an orange box, and that is collaborate. Is that making sense? That is, again, like Molly said earlier with asking questions, that is a universal approach. It's a habit that anybody can choose to leverage, especially in the day and age that we're in with technology assisting us, right? I don't have to fly over the sea or ocean to get to, Europe to be able to collaborate with somebody in a totally different context. It is very quick and easy for me to do that, right? We're so hyper connected now. So I just want to put that out there. And one of the strategies that we're going to work on is called leadership coaching for innovation, which is a specific kind of coaching particular to leaders and with the intention of innovating. And so again, that can show up in any of these parts of the journey. So any questions or thoughts that you all have before we like in regards to the journey before we jump into some of the actual strategies? No, you guys are so quiet. You can tell I enjoy loud, especially at the end of the day. I need it to keep me energized and going. So, all right, gang. Well, hey, I will again go through these as fast or as slow as you all want me to. Um, and so again, feel free to have me go deeper and dig into it, or to say, "Yep, we know that, we got that. Let's move on," or "I don't see how that one hits in my space," because I want to try to make sure you see all six of these. So the first one that we're going to dig into is thought partnership, right? So wherever you are in your journey, whether your innovation is, trying to do 3P learning, right? Place-based, project-based, and problem-based learning in your school, which might be something new and innovative for you, or something totally different. Having thought partnership is a really important opportunity specifically for leaders. You want to be able to bounce off ideas off of each other. And sometimes that looks very formal and sometimes that's informal. So I've linked in here one version of thought partnership is what we call leadership coaching for innovation. It's a very specialized form of coaching. In fact, I'm going to go out of this screen to show you this screen. And just bear with me for a minute because I had hidden these slides, but knowing that we have kind of a smaller group here, I think it's worth sharing and showing in a little bit more detail. So when I talk about thought partnership, in our version of thought partnership, a formal version of that is called leadership coaching for innovation, because we believe coaching is a critical vehicle for learning and change. When you think about like the last time you made a big change or had some big meaningful learning for yourself, I'm guessing it wasn't because you came to a one-off PD or went to a conference. I'm guessing it was because some person had an impact on you, like a person helped you buy in, or a story or an experience helped you buy in and changed your thinking or your learning, as opposed to a thing. And so we really have particular beliefs around what high quality coaching is, and we're grounding it in that definition of innovation, like we talked about before. So that coaching conversation you can see has lots of different paths, and it is messy because we're very responsive, but it's that one-on-one conversation. And that really is different than a mentoring conversation where there's some, expert novice perception. We're about powerful questioning, and we're about building that autonomy and empowerment for critical thinking through our coaching, leadership coaching for innovation. So I just wanted to give you one specific example of thought partnership and why and how we have these wins around coaching. Again, I can go into much more detail for that, but that is kind of at a cursory level what leadership coaching for innovation is. And the last piece I'll really share around that is one thing that makes our model, one of the many things that makes our model different from other models is that our coaches are just right fit to the people that they are coaching. So we have a very specialized way of doing a discovery conversation with the people that want to be coached to make sure we match them. It's a little matchmaking with the right person because some people may be wonderful people, but maybe they don't make good coaches. Or sometimes we have great people that are great coaches, but not the great coach for you. I would joke with Walt, like, I don't think this is true about Walt, but if Walt said, "Hey, I want somebody to be my coach and they have to be, a male from inner city that does XYZ," well, you know what? Then I'm not the right coach for Walt. I want to respect what he is asking for. And so we spend a lot of time on that just right fit there. And again, we know that that comes back to meeting the person where they are because coaching is grounded in a trusting relationship. So that piece matters. Let me bring this back up. So, thoughts on the first actionable strategy of leadership coaching for innovation, or in general, again, you could just look at this as a lens of thought partnership. So, the last piece I'll say with that is if you're in your school space and you know you want to try some innovation, I think one thing you can do is look around. Who are your trusted people? Who are the people that might be in your space? Like Walt talked about before, he's a good student of innovation. Who are the people in your space that are maybe trying things that are potentially innovating that you could just go pick their brain? That's thought partnership, right? So that's a little act or a little behavior that could go a long way. And it sounds like this. It sounds like, "Hey, I noticed you tried something new today. Tell me more about why'd you choose to do that? Or is there something that you could teach me about that innovation? Because I'm really eager to learn." And that opening in conversation, that becomes the relationship, and then that grows from there. It's hard sometimes as a leader, though, because leadership is often lonely, right? So it's sometimes hard to do that in your immediate building. So, you can look out broader from that into your other friend circles, into your other networks, and or just go with somebody like a Michigan Virtual who is only in it for you that it has complete confidentiality. Okay? So the second actionable strategy that we wanted to dig into was design thinking groups. And I don't know, have any of the four of you, Molly, Kathleen, Dr. Patterson, or Colleen, have you all had any experience around design thinking training or design sprint processes? Because sometimes this feels super foreign, and then other times in other groups, people are like, "Oh, you're speaking my language." So I just don't want to over explain it if it's something that you already do. Okay, I'm seeing heads shake or no one's coming off of off of mute. So that tells me it's a no. So there's a number of design thinking processes that are different than what we typically see in school settings. So in school settings, we often are running through things like the plan, study, do, act model for continuous improvement. And those are great frameworks for large scale change. Another framework that's not competing but centered a little differently are design thinking processes like the design sprint process, which is grounded in human-centered design, meaning we carefully notice and pay attention to where are our human problems and what are our human needs, and then we work through how might we work on those things together. And it's a very fast paced, very flexible process. It's not prescribed like your typical continuous improvement, prescription that we often are mandated to do through other systems. So, one of the particular practices that I love within design thinking groups is just this idea that we socialize our thoughts and kind of test out our hunches as we go. So, one of the things that I am testing out right now is I have some hunches around how to take place-based learning, that idea of how we show up in our community. And I want to know or challenge how it can happen in virtual programs, especially when our students are situated across either our state or multiple states. How does that show up? And so, what I'm starting to do then is starting to come up with build out little tests where I can test out this theory or hypothesis that I have. So that's just one example. Sometimes it's even littler than that. And Walt knows this to be true about me. I will come to him and I'll say, "Hey, here's my theory about how something is happening. Does this hit for you? Does this resonate or what's amiss?" And it's just this little tiny nugget that I've kind of been stewing on, something that came to me during a walk or whatnot. And I'm socializing that idea. And I usually lead with, "Hey, I'm not final in my thinking here. I just want to test out my idea on you." And that is a helpful little bit of language that is surfacing this kind of design thinking process. In Michigan, we have a couple of examples that might be helpful for you to know about if you didn't know that they were already there. One is the work that Michigan Virtual is doing on AI integration. So we lead a statewide work group, and I know that MANS is a part of that work group for it's Walt, remind me what our website is for Michigan.
AI4MI.org.
AI4mi.org. And it's linked in here, and I'll share this later, but you get to see from a mile high view. We are testing out some different tools and resources in that space that can benefit all of Michigan. And so that does that work group is one key place. Also, if you're not familiar with the Future of Learning Council, and I believe there are a number of MANS schools that participate in that, but the Future of Learning Council is highly centered around, highly focused on student-centered, personalized learning practice. They're working on things like micro schools and how do you make schools within schools so that we can test out ideas and try new things. And one of the cohorts that's currently practicing, thank you for putting that in, Walt, is our design cohort. And so we have, right now, we have just shy of 100 school districts that participate in the Future of Learning Council. Some are in what's called the Thrive cohort, where they're really at this iterative process, part of the process, and they're really kind of leaps and bounds in that innovation space, where the design is more in the build and test things out phase. And then we have a discover group who is really just starting to, like it sounds in the title, discover ways in which we can have more student-centered personalized learning. So particularly the design cohort is doing a great job being a design thinking group. And what happens are those school districts bring teams and they work in those ways supported by Michigan Virtual. And one of our partners in that work is called Getting Smart. They're also a phenomenal thought partnership space for us. So that's strategy two. Again, you don't have to come to a space like the AI task force or the statewide work group or the FLC to be able to do design thinking. You can pick up little elements of design thinking process and do it in your daily life or in your daily groups. Maybe you want to pilot a particular curriculum, but that seems like a huge ask, right? So a way to do this would be just with one teacher or with one grade level. Maybe you're just doing one unit or one particular part. And the idea is that you kind of fail fast. You try a little thing. What do we learn from it? What can we tweak? Let's try it again. Let's start to try it again and do it at a different scale. So I don't want you to shy away from something just because we make it sound formal in the examples when really you can do something today that will help you tomorrow. All right, how are we on time? We're at 4:09. I'm doing a horrible job on time. We're going to get through 3 of 6, which is fine. I will pause here for a minute so you can check out what's on the screen or if you want to take this in any different direction, I'm happy as well to do that, or if you have any questions so far. I just looked at my slide deck and I thought, oh my gosh, did I misspell creativity? And I had to like reset my mind to look at it. It was looking funny to me. So I will jump in since I'm hearing none so far. But the third actionable strategy is about cultivating a culture. And originally, this is an example of me iterating my work. Originally, I had just written this as cultivating a culture of risk. And what I found over time was that was maybe a little bit too far of a jump for some people. Like that sounded super scary to make a space that was risky, even though they knew that our research showed risk and tolerating risk and growing risk, being uncomfortable and pushing those boundaries is part of what innovators do. That just was a little bit too far of a jump. So an alternative approach in that one is a culture of creativity or curiosity. And those things really do go hand in hand. So whatever one makes sense for you. But here's something else to be thoughtful around. And this is the idea that in education, we often overuse the phrase around culture, right? What's your culture? What's your climate? How, what does that feel like in your school? But to make it really concrete, culture is what you teach, celebrate, and tolerate. So if we want a culture of risk or a culture of creativity, we need to teach what that is. We need to provide opportunities where we're showing that. It also means that we have to celebrate it when it happens, when somebody takes a risk. We want to celebrate that, even if the outcome isn't what we thought it was going to be. And so that second piece around what are you celebrating is given in that example where I talk about the model FAIL. And FAIL stands for first attempt in learning. And this is an especially hard one, I will say, not just as a leader, but as an adult. This one is often really hard to do, especially if you haven't practiced that in a while. But basically, it comes down to being transparent and as you try things to talk about it as your first attempt. Hey, that was I just put out this new schedule, right? We're going to be trying something new. It may go great. It may fall flat. This is my first attempt in learning. I'm here to have some feedback, and then to come back down the road when you've tried that out and you say, hey, aren't you so glad that we had this first attempt in learning? Here's some things I'm noticing from that. My thinking has changed. This is what I used to think. And now it's like, know better, do better. now I think this way. And so being visible and like audible with that first attempt in learning is often, again, hard as adults and hard as leaders because we're in a space that often celebrates who knows the right answer. But what we know about innovation is that you don't hold all the answers. There's just opportunity there, and that people will more likely follow someone that's transparent and has some sense of vulnerability than they will someone that demands just the right answer or appears to be perfect. So, one example again I have for you is that first attempt in learning. Another one is using a failure log. Now I know this again might sound scary or a little awful to some of you, but I'll inverse this with this idea of how many of you know about like a gratitude journal, right? And why do we do a gratitude journal?
For me,
It allows us to focus on the good versus the bad.
Yeah, so it allows you to focus on the good and you're noticing the good, right? Walt, did you want to add something there? It looked like you were going to say something too.
I was going to use the word noticing, just in
Okay.
general, being very aware. Yeah.
Noticing and awareness and where you're focusing. So, what we talk about then is what you pay attention to gets done, or what you notice, what you do. What is the saying? What you treasure, you measure, right? And so, through that lens, if we are valuing and want a culture of risk, then we should be thinking about and documenting when have we tried something and it didn't go right. Now, failure is sometimes a scary word, right? But where did you try something? Maybe it was something new, maybe it's something you always done, but it didn't go right or the way you thought it was going to go. And by documenting that in full transparency, I have a failure log. If I haven't put something in there approximately every 2 weeks, if I look back and I haven't put something in there in 2 weeks, it tells me I'm not challenging myself and taking some risks. All right. So you can name it whatever you want, but if you want to build that culture, then you want to try one opportunity is for you to try these different pieces. And sometimes, again, it can be pretty scary if you're the one doing it, but I'm guessing you have people in your spaces that maybe lean in that direction. Or maybe you can leverage them if you think that, they might be a good model for that. So, how do you notice and leverage those, fire starters? We all know the people that if you tell them something in the morning, the whole building is going to know it by the afternoon. So, you want to kind of use that for good, right? To build that culture of risk or creativity. Any thoughts or questions on the first three strategies? No? All right. Kathleen, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for being here today. All right. So it's about 4:15. We have about 15 minutes left. I think it's probably going to be our best case scenario if I just put up these next three. I'm going to just give you a few minutes to look through and read kind of what's on your screen. And again, you have all six of these on that document that I gave you the shortcut to at the beginning. Walt, would you mind if you didn't already put in the short URL for that support document? It would have been maybe on slide like 3 or 4 or something. It's on the goals. It's on the objective slide. I'm going to give you all just a minute to check it out. And then whichever ones you want to focus in on, I can either go deeper into one of these, 4, 5, or 6, or we could look at them in totality and just kind of have a discussion around, where might you see this show up in your space, or, what ones might you try? What do you think you're already doing that is like, oh, I do that. Yay. I'm super, I do that. I could do that some more. Or maybe you saw one and you're like, man, I used to do that. Why don't I do that anymore? Right? So I'll give you just a few minutes. I'll try to be quiet. All right. So I'm gonna bring us back together. I know I gave you a whole like minute and 30 seconds. That's about my attention span there. So um, I just want to open it up to all of you. Any questions on 4, 5, or 6, or anybody that maybe wants to go back to one of the other ones or lift up anything to the group? I'm happy to dig into any of the examples. If you're like, what is she talking about? What's, what's ASU GSV or any of those pieces? All right, I'm going to jump forward. So originally, when I thought we were maybe going to have a larger group, we were going to do, if you haven't used this protocol before, I think it's just, I like it because you can ask any questions and I'm always up for a good alliteration. So pause, process, and parlay. So we were just going to talk through and have you break out into small groups to talk through some of these questions. So I'm just going to share with you these questions. And even though we don't have small group to break out in, I want you to just sit here and kind of pause and reflect if anything is coming forward for you. And then we'll start to wrap up together here. And again, any of these, I went through this super fast. So if you want to have just one-on-one conversation with me a different day, I'd be very welcome and open to that around any of these strategies. So, what one were you most comfortable with is something to consider and think about. You probably, again, like I mentioned before, you probably have examples in your life or your lived experience where you've done some of these already. So you already have a sense of, I am an innovator, right? You're already doing some of these habits and actions on your journey forward. There might be a strategy or two that you might feel apprehensive about or unclear, right? I didn't go into depth for 4, 5, or 6. So, you don't have a true authentic definition and working experience around that one potentially. Um, for your context, remember we talked about innovation is often context dependent. So you can see, think about who do you know that does these strategies well in your context or around you in your network, and why? And then is there anything missing from your environment that maybe one of these strategies would help you move forward with? So these were just some of those conversations. And here was if we had an opportunity to have 2 rounds. You know, maybe there's a particular innovation that you noticed as we talked that you thought it was worth paying attention to. Or maybe in your next couple days of, this week and next week, you start to just use those observation skills, use that noticing, maybe even the beginner's mind to think about, maybe you've been in the same hall 100 times, but you look down that hallway and you are specific about looking for innovation, seeing things in a new light, right? That could actually change the outcomes that you're getting. So, that being said, again, we're real close to wrapping up. So, those are the 6 strategies that we think, even if you do a small portion of one of them today, you will see impact going forward. And, when you think about like James Clear, how many of you are Atomic Habits readers? Is that book? Okay. So there's a little quip in his book that I just love. And he's talking about building habits, but he talks about motion and action. And motion is like the strategizing, the planning, all the busyness of like the meetings and all of those things, right? But the action is the actual execution of those things. It's getting the outcome, right? And so it's the operationalizing it. And what he says is motion and action are both required, right? You're not going to pick one over the other. He said, but if you do motion without action, now you're just procrastinating. And I love that because I think about our innovators' journey. Sometimes and I'm guilty of this. I spend so much time in that uncovering and generating phase because I love that space. But if I never do the action, then I really go nowhere. All right. So any thoughts, feedback, questions? We have just a few minutes left.
I've got a curiosity with as many leaders as you've worked with in schools. Do you find that the tinker time and the reflection, similar to what you were saying about Dr. Clear, um, we just get in that process of continuing to admire problems or innovations versus doing something?
So it depends, right? That's always a safe answer. I'm just joking. Yes. So here's what I tend to see. I think people like to be in camps, and we have people that feel tremendously busy, but they're in motion. They're not in action, like you were saying. I honestly also see this other camp where people are fast to decide and quick to solution that haven't done the work of the planning or the strategizing or thinking about divergent views.
Mhm.
And so they're really shooting themselves in the foot because they are rushing. It's that old adage about, right? If you want to go far, go alone. No, I said that wrong. If you want to go fast, go alone. Sorry, guys. End of the day, my brain just got, botched there. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so, I do see leaders, especially ones that are putting out fires all day long. They are quick to action, but maybe not thinking about what that means systemically or fixing some of those root causes. So, does that answer your question, Walt?
It does. I was just thinking of dichotomies in some of these. And number four, I was thinking, how often do we see inquiry versus advocacy? So the voice, it is important to have your voice heard. We do want to be heard and validated, but there is that switch between we're being curious or we're really advocating for our position. I think we see
Mhm.
that a lot with the staff when we're doing staff meetings and new initiatives.
Walt, what a great point out, because if you take that inquiry and voices for collective intelligence idea and you apply it in the uncovering and generating space, as opposed to the implementing and problem solving space, I think that advocacy tone comes out a lot depending on how you deploy it in the implementing and problem solving part. But if we're authentically inquiring and trying to like do a collective intelligence gathering or growth in the uncover part, it doesn't feel like advocacy. It feels like genuine curiosity. So I think just putting those two things kind of next to each other, it is interesting. Others?
I was just going to jump in to share kind of a thought that I had as we were going over this is I really like that failure log idea. And I'm just like applying it to my work. I'm just thinking of things that we've tried in the past that
Mm,
might not have worked, 5 years ago, but things have changed since then. And is it something that we should try again and redo and then if it doesn't work again, then find the reason why it didn't work and ask those questions. So I'm really excited to bring that one into my work.
awesome. Molly, you lifted two things for me. Thank you so much for being willing to share that. One, um, when you're in a role, especially depending on how long you've been in the role, the historical knowledge that comes with that is important. And so if we're not documenting what we've tried along the way, or you're new to a space, that might really be missed. And we always talk about history repeating itself, right? So I love that you took failure logs to that next level in thinking about it from that bigger lens. And then the other piece is Being in a space where you can talk about, hey, I started a failure log. This is how it's going. Like some people may be tremendously uncomfortable with that idea. So having to navigate the linguistics of it, but also the emotion of that, everybody is at a different place in their journey with that. So. Well, thank you so much for sharing those pieces. Um, I will end with just two little things. One, I just love a good comic. Sometimes they can say things that we can't say. So I'm hoping something on this screen connects for you. And I don't know what your personal favorite is because there's so many good ones on there, but I literally get a big grin on my face every time I see the one with the rocks in the middle and the no wheels, right? No, we're too busy because I think you all as educators and leaders, you're hearing that all day long. If you ask any educator, they say, "What if I could wave a magic wand and give you anything? What do you want?" They all say more time, right? But sometimes we have the time. We're just not looking at it through a lens of innovation. What can we do now that's going to be advantaging or strategic for ourselves tomorrow? Um, so that's last pieces. And just here's my connection information. Again, if there's anything I can do for any of you, please just know that is entirely how I love to show up, whether it's at work or outside of work. Showing up for others is really important for me. So please reach out, connect with me. Walt and I are here at Michigan Virtual, and we love being your partners. So I appreciate your time today. If there's anything else we can do for you, I'll be quiet. I'll stop sharing, and just want to say thank you.